There are things nobody told you about life, not because they wanted to hide them, but because most people don't understand them themselves. So this video found you today for one reason. You're finally ready to hear the truths that actually change people. Truth 10. Time isn't waiting for you. Time is the one thing in your life that never argues with you. It doesn't negotiate. It doesn't pause. It doesn't wait for you to get your life together. It just moves quietly, like a clock that doesn't tick out loud, but somehow always gets ahead of you. And here's the hard truth most people avoid. You're living like you have two lives, one to waste and one to fix everything later. But later is a sneaky thing. It feels generous. It feels comfortable. It feels endless. Until one day, it isn't. You ever notice how when you're a kid, 1 year feels like forever? But as an adult, 1 year disappears like a weekend? It's because the older you get, the more routine you add, and the less new life you experience. Time doesn't feel fast or slow. You feel fast or slow. And most adults move through life on a speed that's basically sleepwalking. Picture a stick figure version of you waking up, yawning, sprinting into your daily routine, and then falling asleep again. Over and over, so fast it looks like a looping animation. That's what life becomes when you stop paying attention. A loop, not a story. But here's a truth you've probably felt in your gut. Every year you delay something, the price goes up. Not money-wise, life-wise. Delay the gym, your body pays interest. Delay your dreams, your confidence pays interest. Delay that hard conversation, your relationships pay interest. Time is the most expensive currency on earth, and life charges late fees. The good news? You don't need a massive plan to get control back. You need one honest moment where you tell yourself, okay, enough drifting. Even 5 minutes of direction beats 5 years of confusion. Think about people you admire, actors, athletes, entrepreneurs. Someone like Keanu Reeves, for example. Everyone sees the calm, wise, centered version of him. But very few people know how much time he spent alone, rebuilding himself after tragedies, focusing on what mattered, cutting the noise, and treating time like a sacred resource. That's why he seems peaceful, because he stopped wasting time on things that steal life instead of giving it. And you can do that too. You don't need to become a movie star. You just need to become someone who uses time with intention. Someone who says, today counts even if it's small. Because small days build big lives. Here's a simple rule. If the future version of you would thank you for doing something today, do it. If they'd be disappointed you didn't, start it. Time won't wait for you, but it will reward you instantly the moment you stop living like you have a spare life hidden somewhere. Take a second and think, what's one thing, just one, that future you is begging you to start today? That word that popped into your mind? That's your answer. Truth 9. Nobody is thinking about you as much as you think. One of the most freeing truths in life is also one of the hardest to believe. People are not thinking about you nearly as much as you think they are. I know that sounds strange because we're so used to imagining this invisible audience watching our every move. Like there's a group of tiny stick figure judges standing on our shoulders whispering, "Don't mess up. They're watching. They'll notice." But in reality, everyone is too busy dealing with their own fears, insecurities, and private Google search history to obsess over your life. It's not that people don't care about you. It's that people care about themselves first. It's human nature. Even when someone looks like they're judging you, they're usually comparing you to themselves, not analyzing your existence. Imagine a stick figure world where everyone walks around carrying giant speech bubbles above their heads. Inside each bubble is one sentence. What do people think of me? That's the irony. Everyone is worried about everyone else's opinion. Meanwhile, everyone else is worried about everyone else's opinion. It's a global circle of unnecessary stress. The moment you realize this, life becomes lighter, freer, more spacious. You stop performing. You start living. Think about the things you stopped yourself from doing because you imagined someone would judge you. Posting your art, starting a YouTube channel, going to the gym, trying something new, speaking an idea out loud. And then ask this, who exactly were you afraid of? Name them, list them. Most people can't even name one specific person, just a crowd that doesn't actually exist. Even famous people deal with this. Take someone like Emma Watson. When she stepped into iconic roles and then stepped away from them, the world debated it like she owed them a perfect explanation. But later she admitted something deeply human. Most of the fear she had wasn't real. Most of it was pressure she put on herself. The world moved on much faster than she imagined. People always do. Here's the truth. Your life becomes yours the moment you stop outsourcing your confidence to strangers' reactions. Next time you walk down the street, try this little mental trick. Pretend everyone has a tiny progress bar over their head, like in a video game. Half the bar is filled with their own worries. The other half is filled with things they're late for. There's no space left for obsessing over you. So give yourself permission to stop waiting for permission. The embarrassment you fear lasts 5 seconds. The regret you fear lasts years. And here's a question to sit with. If nobody was watching you, not one person, what would you do differently tomorrow? Whatever answer appears first. That's the truth you've been avoiding. Truth 8. Fear hurts more in your head than in reality. Fear is a strange storyteller. It takes a simple situation and turns it into a horror movie you never bought tickets for. And the funny thing is, the monster rarely exists anywhere except inside your mind. You know that feeling when you're about to try something new and your brain suddenly becomes a professional filmmaker? It plays dramatic scenes. You failing, people laughing, everything collapsing, and you somehow ending up on a deserted island with only one coconut. Meanwhile, reality is much simpler. Reality says, try it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, adjust. Fear adds, and then your life will crumble, your reputation will evaporate, and the universe will personally send you a letter of disappointment. Imagine a stick figure version of your brain holding a megaphone, shouting worst-case scenarios at you while the real world is calmly sipping tea in the background. Here's the truth. Most of the pain in your life didn't come from actual events. It came from thinking about the events, worrying, overanalyzing, predicting disasters that never showed up. You've survived every single bad day so far. But your mind? It has survived millions of imaginary ones. Look back at moments you avoided because of fear, starting something, ending something, speaking up, taking the opportunity, being honest. Now ask yourself, was the fear accurate? Or did it exaggerate the plot? Most people hesitate, not because life is dangerous, but because their imagination is dramatic. Even successful people deal with this. Look at Michael Jordan. One of the most famous quotes from him is, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career." Do you think he was fearless? No, he was just more afraid of not trying than missing. He understood something simple. The pain of regret lasts longer than the pain of failure. And that's the truth fear tries hardest to hide. Think of the scariest thing you've ever done. Not dangerous, just intimidating. Maybe speaking in public. Maybe approaching someone. Maybe leaving a job. Whatever it was, once you finished it, what did you usually say? Oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought. The worst-case scenario in your head is almost never the actual scenario in your life. So here's a trick. Next time fear shows up, imagine it as a tiny stick figure creature wearing a huge, oversized cape. When you pull the cape away, the creature is embarrassingly small. That's what fear really is. A tiny thing, pretending to be huge. Your life doesn't expand when fear disappears. It expands when you stop believing every scary story your mind tells. So think about this. What fear has been shouting at you lately? And what would your life look like if you didn't listen for once? Truth 7. Small steps beat big plans. Some people don't fail because they're not capable. They fail because their plan is so big, so dramatic, so perfect that they never actually start. Perfection is a beautiful idea and a terrible strategy. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start when I'm ready. I'll begin when I have time. I just need to plan it properly. And then suddenly it's 6 months later and you're still standing at the starting line, polishing the same plan. In a stick figure world, it's like drawing this gigantic, overly detailed blueprint of a castle, while your life is quietly asking you to at least start stacking one brick. Here's the truth. Big plans feel productive, but small steps create results. Momentum beats motivation every single time. People imagine success as this huge leap, a jump from where you are to where you want to be. But most overnight successes took years of tiny movements. Not exciting ones, not Instagram-worthy ones, just consistent, unglamorous effort. Picture a stick figure walking up a giant staircase. If the steps are small, the figure moves easily. If the steps are huge, the figure just stands there, staring up, overwhelmed, wondering who designed this ridiculous staircase. Most people design stairs too big for themselves. Even world-class performers understand this. Take Serena Williams. Before she was a global symbol of strength, she was a kid hitting tennis balls in the heat, day after day, no audience, no trophies, just repetition. Small daily actions built legendary results. Greatness hides inside routines, not grand plans. Here's the psychological trap. When you plan something big, your brain rewards you with a little dopamine because planning feels like progress. But then you delay, overthink, and eventually lose belief in the plan altogether. Not because the plan was wrong, but because the plan was too big for the version of you that existed at step one. Small steps work because they match your current identity while building the future one. You don't need a perfect plan to start. You need a small action that proves to your brain, oh, we're actually doing this. Start the workout with 5 minutes. Start the business with 1 product. Start the skill by practicing 10 minutes a day. Start the change by doing something tiny today. Small steps are powerful because they're impossible to argue with. Your mind can debate a big plan for hours, but it can't come up with a good excuse for doing something that takes 2 minutes. Here's a rule you'll thank yourself for following. If an action is small enough to do consistently, it's big enough to change your life. Think about it for a moment. What's one tiny step, embarrassingly small, that you could take today that your future self would smile at? Whatever you just thought of, that's your beginning. Truth 6. Pain is a teacher, not an enemy. Pain has a terrible reputation. People treat it like an enemy, a punishment, or some cosmic signal that they're doing something wrong. But here's the truth. Pain is not there to hurt you. It's there to teach you. Imagine pain as a tiny, stick figure coach with a whistle, running beside you, shouting, "Hey, look here, this matters." Most people hear that whistle and run the opposite direction. But if you actually stop and listen, pain is giving instructions, not insults. Think back to any moment that shaped you, really shaped you. Was it comfort? Was it ease? Was it a period where everything went exactly as planned? Probably not. Growth rarely shows up in good times. It shows up when life isn't listening to your plans. Physical pain teaches you where your limits are. Emotional pain teaches you where your boundaries should be. Mental pain teaches you what thoughts are hurting you more than reality ever could. Pain isn't random. It's data. If a situation drains you, that's pain telling you something needs to change. If a person constantly disrespects you, that's pain telling you your standards need adjusting. If life keeps repeating the same lesson, that's pain patiently tapping your shoulder saying, "You didn't learn this the first time. Let's try again." Even people we admire understand this. Look at someone like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Before the movie roles, before the fame, he went through some brutal chapters. Injuries, rejections, hitting rock bottom financially. But looking back, he always says the same thing. Those painful moments built the version of him the world sees today. Without them, the strength wouldn't exist. Pain prepared him. Pain prepares all of us, but only if we stop treating it like the villain of our story. Picture a stick figure walking through life with a backpack. Every painful lesson they face adds a tool to that backpack. Resilience, awareness, discernment, confidence. Eventually, that stick figure becomes someone who can handle storms that would have destroyed the old version of them. Here's the mistake most people make. They want growth without discomfort. They want wisdom without mistakes. They want transformation without friction. But life doesn't work like that. You don't level up without something pushing you out of your old level. Pain is the push. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What is this trying to show me?" It's a softer question, but a more powerful one, because it shifts you from victim mode into learning mode. And once you start seeing pain as information, not punishment, something amazing happens. You become less afraid of life, less reactive, less attached to comfort, more willing to try, explore, and grow. So think about this. What's one painful thing in your life right now? And what lesson might it be offering if you looked at it with different eyes? That question alone can change everything. Truth 5. You train people how to treat you. People learn how to treat you by watching how you treat yourself, not by listening to what you say, not by reading your mind, not by understanding your intentions, but by observing your behavior. Think of it like a silent contract you sign with everyone in your life. You teach them what's acceptable, what's not, what your boundaries look like, and what your self-worth sounds like, without ever saying a word. Imagine a stick figure version of you walking around carrying two signs. One sign says, "This is what I tolerate." The other says, "This is what I deserve." People don't read both. They read the one you show the most. And the tough truth is this: you may not be responsible for how someone treats you the first time, but you are responsible for how many times they get to repeat it. If someone constantly disrespects you, ignores your feelings, or takes advantage of your time, it's not always because they're evil. Sometimes it's because you never showed them the boundary where the behavior stops. Boundaries aren't confrontational. They're educational. They teach others how to interact with you respectfully. Think about someone like Taylor Swift. She didn't rise to fame by being a people pleaser. She reached her level because she learned when to speak up, when to walk away, and when to protect her energy, even when the world had opinions about it. That skill, setting boundaries, allowed her to stay focused, creative, and mentally sane in an industry that eats people alive. Most people think setting boundaries will make others angry. But you know what actually makes people angry? Unclear expectations, confusion, mixed signals, saying yes when your soul is screaming, "Please say no." That's how resentment builds, slowly, silently, and then all at once. Here's something worth remembering. Every time you let something slide that hurts you, you teach the other person that it doesn't hurt you, and they act accordingly. In a stick figure animation, it would look like a tiny stick figure version of you shrinking a little each time you accept something you didn't want to accept. Over time, you're barely visible. But the moment you set a boundary, even a soft one, the stick figure grows, stands straighter, becomes clearer. Boundaries don't push good people away. They push the wrong people away and help the right people come closer. Start with small things. If you need time, say so. If something bothers you, acknowledge it. If someone crosses a line, point it out calmly. If someone keeps doing it, walk away with dignity, not drama. Because here's the truth most people discover too late. Self-respect teaches others how to respect you. Silence does the opposite. So ask yourself, is there someone in your life right now who only treats you the way you've allowed them to? That answer is where your boundary begins. Truth 4. Success looks boring from up close. Success has incredible marketing. From far away, it looks shiny, dramatic, exciting. Like fireworks, spotlight, applause. But when you get close to real success, the kind that actually lasts, it looks nothing like that. It looks boring. Not bad boring, just quiet, unimpressive, repetitive. Picture a stick figure sitting at a tiny desk, doing the same action every day. Typing, practicing, planning, learning, repeating. If success had a behind-the-scenes documentary, most people would click away after 2 minutes because it doesn't look like entertainment, it looks like discipline. Here's the truth few people want to accept. You don't rise to greatness on your best days. You rise because you keep going on the ordinary ones. Everyone wants the moment where everything clicks. Everyone wants the transformation scene. Everyone wants the dramatic upgrade. But nobody wants the dozens, hundreds, sometimes thousands of non-glamorous days that come before it. Think about someone like Lionel Messi. People see the trophies, the records, the highlight reels, but look deeper. He spent years training quietly, repetitively, working on the same movements until they became instinct. Greatness is built in slow motion, not in fast success montages. In your life, the same rule applies. The morning you don't feel like working but still do a little, the day you're tired but show up anyway. The week where progress feels invisible but you stay on track. That's success, not the result, the pattern. The most dangerous lie in self-improvement is believing something needs to feel extraordinary for it to be meaningful. No, what's meaningful is consistency. What's meaningful is the tiny effort you repeat so many times it becomes part of who you are. Imagine two stick figures running a race. One sprints for 10 seconds, stops, gets tired, lies down dramatically, and complains. The other jogs slowly, steadily, almost lazily, but never stops. Guess who wins? The one who keeps moving. That's how life works. Slow, steady action beats dramatic bursts every single time. Here's something most people don't realize. Success doesn't feel successful until much later. While you're building it, it feels like work. While you're learning, it feels like confusion. While you're improving, it feels like repetition. Only when you look back do you say, "Oh, that was progress." The boring days matter more than the exciting ones. The small habits matter more than the big goals. The momentum matters more than motivation. So ask yourself, what boring thing could you do every day that future you would be deeply grateful for? That tiny action you thought of, that's where your real success is hiding. Truth 3. You attract what you believe you deserve. Whether you realize it or not, your life is filtered through one powerful belief. What do I think I deserve? Not what you say you deserve, not what you hope you deserve, but what you actually believe deep down when nobody's watching. Picture a stick figure holding a magnet. That magnet represents your self-worth. If you believe you deserve little, the magnet is weak. It pulls in crumbs, half-effort people, half opportunities, half-respect situations. If you believe you deserve more, the magnet strengthens, and suddenly your standards change, your choices change, and everything you attract begins to level up. Here's the painful but honest truth. You have tolerated things in life not because you wanted them, but because part of you believed that was the best you could get. This shows up everywhere. In relationships where affection is inconsistent, in jobs where your potential is ignored, in friendships where loyalty is optional, in dreams you shrink so they feel safer. When your self-worth is low, you pick what's familiar, not what's good. When your self-worth grows, you start choosing what's aligned, not what's available. Think about someone like Jim Carrey. Before the fame, before the success, he dealt with financial struggle, rejection, and people who didn't believe in him. But even then, he did something incredibly symbolic. He wrote himself a check for $10 million dated in the future. Why? Not to manifest money magically, but to remind himself, I deserve more than my circumstances. His belief didn't create the opportunity. His belief allowed him to chase it relentlessly. When you think you deserve better, your effort changes. Your boundaries change, your mindset changes, your energy changes, and people feel it. Imagine two stick figures standing side by side. One whispers, "Pick me, I'll accept anything." The other whispers, "I know my value." Guess which one attracts respect, opportunity, and healthy relationships? It's not the louder one. It's the one with clearer belief. Here's the tricky part. You can't fake self-worth. Your actions expose your belief no matter what words you use. If you chase people who treat you poorly, your actions say you believe you deserve that. If you stay in environments that drain you, your actions say you accept that. If you shrink your voice around others, your actions say your opinions matter less. The good news? Self-worth isn't something you're born with or stuck with. It's something you build. Every small promise you keep to yourself strengthens it. Every boundary you set reinforces it. Every courageous step you take increases it. Self-worth grows from evidence, not imagination. So take a moment and ask yourself, if the next chapter of your life was shaped entirely by what you believe you deserve, would you be excited about that future? Your answer to that question, that gut reaction, is the real magnet shaping your life. Truth 2. Your thoughts lie, but your actions tell the truth. Your mind is an incredible storyteller, and not always in a good way. It can turn a tiny worry into a catastrophe, a simple mistake into a personal failure, and a quiet day into everything is falling apart. Your thoughts talk loudly, confidently, but they're not always accurate. Imagine a stick figure version of your brain holding a microphone, performing a dramatic monologue, like it's auditioning for a movie role. It exaggerates, it assumes, it predicts disasters. But the world around you? Usually calm, usually manageable, usually fine. Here's the hard truth. Your thoughts lie way more often than your actions do. You've probably had days where your mind told you, you're behind, you're not good enough, everyone else is doing better, you're messing everything up. But then you actually did something, anything, and suddenly the whole emotional weather changed. One tiny action and the storm in your head softened. Actions are honest. They don't rely on imagination. They don't dramatize. They don't overthink. They just show reality. Think of it like this. Thoughts create noise. Actions create clarity. Even people at the top understand this. Take someone like Will Smith. Before the fame and the movies, he talked openly about battling self-doubt, fear, and overthinking. But he learned one powerful method. When in doubt, move. Do the next step, the next small action, the next choice. He realized his mind could tell 1,000 stories, but his actions created the actual one. This is why you can think your way into panic, but you can't think your way into confidence. Confidence doesn't come from imagining you can do something. It comes from doing something and proving to yourself that you can. Picture a stick figure stuck in a thought bubble, pacing in circles. The bubble gets bigger, darker, heavier. But then, the stick figure pokes one small hole in the bubble, a tiny action, and the entire bubble deflates. Overthinking is basically your mind trying to control the future by rehearsing every terrible scenario. But here's the funny part. You've survived every real moment in your life, but you've never survived even one imaginary one, because they were never real to begin with. Your brain is a storyteller. Your actions are the editor. Which one do you want running your life? If you rely on thoughts, you'll always feel behind. If you rely on actions, you'll always feel momentum. So here's a simple rule worth remembering. Do something small before your mind invents something big. Wash the dish, send the email, take the step, start the workout, write the sentence. Small actions silence loud thoughts. Now ask yourself, if you took one tiny action today, just one, what truth would it reveal about what you're actually capable of? Whatever that action is, that's your real story waiting to be written. Truth 1. Your life changes the moment you decide to change it. People think their life changes because of luck or timing or some big dramatic event that flips everything upside down. But the truth is much simpler and much more powerful. Your life changes the exact moment you decide you're done living the same day on repeat. Not when you feel ready, not when someone gives you permission, not when circumstances magically line up. It changes the moment you say, okay, I'm not doing this version of me anymore. In a stick figure world, it's like the moment your character stops walking in a loop and suddenly turns left. Nothing huge, nothing cinematic, just one small decision that changes the entire storyline. Most people are waiting for a feeling. Motivation, confidence, inspiration. Some magical spark that wakes them up one morning and says, now, today is the day. But that spark is unreliable. Some days it shows up, most days it doesn't. And if you depend on it, you'll only change on the days life feels generous. Here's the hard truth. Real change doesn't start with motivation. Real change starts with honesty. Honesty about who you are right now. Honesty about where your choices are taking you. Honesty about the habits that are quietly shaping your future. Look at people who rebuilt their lives from scratch. Actors, athletes, entrepreneurs, regular people who just hit a wall one day. One thing they all have in common? They had a moment where they decided they were no longer willing to tolerate their own excuses. Take Robert Downey Jr. For years, he struggled with chaos, addiction, and self-destruction. But there was a moment, a quiet one, not a Hollywood one, where he chose a different direction. He didn't magically become Iron Man that day. He just decided to stop living the old script. That decision created a new path, and that path became a new life. Your turning point won't look glamorous either. It won't have dramatic music playing in the background. It might happen on an ordinary Tuesday, while washing dishes, while walking alone, while staring at your ceiling at 3 a.m. It'll be the moment you say, I can do better and I'm willing to start even if it's uncomfortable. That moment, that decision of the spark. Change is not the hard part. Deciding to change is the hard part. Once you make the decision, the rest is just steps. Small ones, repetitive ones, boring ones, but steps. And those steps, done quietly and consistently, build a version of you you've been trying to imagine for years. So ask yourself gently, no judgment, no pressure. If your life kept moving in the exact direction it's moving now, would you be proud of where it takes you? Your answer to that question is the doorway. Walking through it. That's the change.